Can you imagine being trapped with no hope in a cold, dark prison cell? Sitting there only to fear what agony tomorrow may bring, knowing that you will do whatever it takes to survive. This is the story of Wayne Davidson, who was condemned to serve 32 years behind bars, 8 of which were at the Brushy Mountain State Prison.
Hi, my name is Wayne Davidson, and this is my story. I remember when I was 8 or 9 years old, I happened to be from a family that they taught their kids how to steal. Matter of fact, my father was that way. I knew one day I would be in a prison. I knew I'd get a life sentence. He also made moonshine. When I'm 8 and 9 years old, I'm carrying water a mile and a half over the mountain to make the liquor. And when he ran the liquor, I'm carrying the liquor back to the vehicle. I'm the guy that sits in the back seat when my dad's delivering his liquor to his customers. My job is to bust the liquor in case the police stop. So one time the sheriff stopped us, started walking toward the back door where I was sitting. My dad said, "Busted liquor, son." I busted the liquor. But now the time I got 12, I realized that was too hard for work, carrying all that water to the liquor still and carrying the whiskey back. I decided I just want to steal. So I became a thief. My brother was in jail in my hometown. He asked me to help him escape. So one night I went to the county jail. There's a tree, a cedar tree. I climbed the cedar tree, got on top of the jailhouse on the second floor. I found where my brother was selling. I sawed one bar out. I took a hacksaw blade. It got daylight. I left. I told him I would be back in the morning. So in the morning, probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, I started up the tree. I had a hacksaw blade. I got probably 5 feet up. Sheriff, big guy, wrestling got me, slammed me to the ground. "Come here, you son of a bitch." He caught me. Okay, the first cell that they ever put me in the penitentiary. 1969, I came here, had 1 year sentence. So you didn't have much room. Now, the only time you got out of your cell, if you were working or you had an hour a day for exercise. You had an hour a day exercise, you had to come back in here. 3 times a day, you go out and eat. 1 time at night, you take a shower. But if you have a job, it gives you an opportunity to get out of your cell. A lot of people work just to get out of the cell.
How was your first day? Your very first day in prison?
First day, I was sort of scared. I didn't know what to expect. The guard that brought me to prison, he gave me some pointers on the way up here. He said, when you get to Brushy Mountain, do not walk up to a guard and start talking to him. You're not allowed to do that. He said, if you want to talk to an officer, he said you had to get permission and take 1 or 2 inmates with you. If not, they think you were telling on anybody. Please do not look one in the eye when you're talking to him unless he gives you permission. If you look at that officer in the eye, he's gonna whip you.
There were other inmates trying to take advantage of you because you were young.
Oh yeah,
first time, like the fresh meat.
Yeah, they knew at that time most inmates stayed locked up most of the time, and I knew that I had to survive somehow. I knew that I wasn't going to get involved with the gang. I knew I wasn't going to give the guards any problem or the inmates. And I definitely knew I wasn't going to be anybody's girlfriend. So I'm still a virgin.
So, did you get how many sentences after that one?
Probably 4 sentences. I left Tennessee after doing the first year. I went to Georgia. I'd done 7 years. Matter of fact, when I was in Georgia, I escaped 2 times down there. I had a couple of years added on to my sentence. I spent a couple of times in a hole, like the hole I showed you here. When I came back to Tennessee, I got convicted 2 or 3 more times. Finally, in 1985, I ended up getting a life sentence. They gave me a life sentence for burglary.
That was the worst sentence?
Worst sentence, life sentence.
What crossed your mind at that moment when the judge when the judge tells you that sentence? What crossed your mind?
What crossed my mind when I was 8 years old, when I had that nightmare that I knew that I would wind up in prison and a life sentence.
You came back that time.
Life sentence. But also now, when I was that young, I knew that it would happen to me, and I also knew that there's something in me that would help me survive. I would just survive. You know, I've done a lot of things in here. Like I say, when you come to prison, you'll commit more crimes in prison than you do on the street. Now,
why?
You have to do it in order to survive. This is a criminal world here. This 4 cells here is what we call the hole. They would put a prisoner in one of these cells, one man, to a steel bunk. They had no mattress, no blanket, no sheet, no pillow, nothing. Between 7 and 30 days, bread and water, 3 meals a day. If you stayed over 7 days, now you had no lights. If you stayed at least 7 days, it took you 2 or 3 days to get your eyesight back. You had 2 buckets, one for the bathroom and one for your drinking water. So you better keep up with your bucket. A good way to get in this hole was, if you worked in the coal mines, you didn't dig enough coal a day, or you made an officer mad. But the least thing you could get in here for, you walk up to the officer You make eye contact with that officer without getting permission. They would whip you and then maybe put you in here. Now, they closed the coal mine in 1967, but they still had this hole here up to a few years later. Before 1905, they would take each inmate out of the cell. They had cables run from the ceiling. They would put your thumbs in the cable. They would raise you up with your heels off the ground. They would do that between 5 and 30 minutes a day. Now that was torture. They stopped that in the late 60s. And I was in a hole in Georgia like this for 2 30-day terms. Most of these guys here were the type that most prisons couldn't deal with them. They would send them here. Most inmates are not going to jump on an officer because they know what's good for them. These guys here, they would. Any man that would throw stuff in the officer's face like that, he knows he's going to get whipped. They don't care. They're that type. They're very dangerous. This is the worst. They would bring these inmates one at a time out this door here. He would be shackled and handcuffs. They would put one man in each cell here for an hour a day. You had a little punching bag and a pull-up bar here. This man's still handcuffs, leg irons. They would put him in here, they would close the door, and they would open those little old gates there, and they would take him off. When he got ready to come out, the door was locked, he would back up, they would put him on him, take it back in, an hour a day.
Good evening. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, 39 years old and a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and the leader of the nonviolent civil rights movement in the United States, was assassinated in Memphis tonight.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an all-points bulletin for a well-dressed young white man seen running from the scene.
Now let's talk about Martin Luther King murder, James Earl Ray.
Right.
So you met him.
Right.
How do you met him?
I met him right after he come to penitentiary in Nashville, but I got to know him here at Brushy Mountain. James Earl Ray.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was nice. He got along there. The guards liked him. He was real easygoing. But anyway, he wanted me to do legal research for him. I did a lot of legal research. He and I spent a lot of time together. We spent probably 3 or 4 days every week in the library, maybe 3 or 4 hours a day.
So you were here when he escaped?
No, I wasn't here when he escaped. I was in Georgia at the time he escaped.
To 3,000 feet, and this is rough country. All vehicles, usually a loner, had become friendly with it. The men fashioned a makeshift ladder from pieces of pipe, which they flung over the 10-foot wall.
All right. So now we are on the end of the prison. In that specific spot is what James Earl Ray escaped. So with that ladder, he was able to put it on the wall and jump to the other side. He was able to do that because the officer that used to be on that tower used to be entertaining something else. But as you can tell, all around this place is all mountains. So 3 days after he escaped, he was captured.
I was here when the inmates tried to kill James Earl Ray.
How was that experience?
He and I were in the law library one day, and there's a gang. Some of the gang members, they belong to the Black Liberation Army. Half these guys belong to the Memphis mob. One day they wanted to kill James Earl Ray.
For what he did to Martin Luther King?
Yes.
Or was something else?
They want to kill him over killing Martin Luther King. So I'm in the library sitting at my desk. James Earl Ray standing 4 or 5 feet from me. The gang sent 3 inmates in to kill James Earl Ray. They're the last 3 that joined the gang. One of them had got out of prison before. I knew him. He walked over to me. He said, "Look, man, don't get involved in this right here. We're going to kill this son of a bitch. I remember what you did for me. I like you." So they stabbed James Earl Ray 23 times. I'm praying that the guards would come and save him. Finally, the guards came over, and they thought he was dead. I did too. So they took him to the hospital, and he had to have a blood transfusion. During that transfusion, he got hepatitis. That's how James Earl Ray died. But the day that he was stabbed, prison administration locked me up and 3 other inmates that stabbed James Earl Ray. They charged all of us for stabbing James Earl Ray. That's the way they do. But the next day, I get a letter from my friend through the grapevine. He tells me, "We know what happened. You just keep quiet. We'll take care of that later on." What they mean is we're gonna get even. It took him a year to get even.
He confessed that he killed
No,
Martin
he
Luther
confessed
King.
in open court he killed Martin Luther King.
And then he retracted.
He tried to retract it, but it's too late.
What makes you start writing a book?
Well, remember I was telling you when I was 8, 10 years old, I knew I'd wind up in prison. And I knew I'd get a life sentence. And I knew that inside me I had a strength to help me survive in the penitentiary. And I knew one day that I would write a book. I knew I would. So it just happened. Everything fell together. Now it's my time. Now, I tell people all the time, I tell them about getting an education in here. But it doesn't matter what kind of education you get in the penitentiary. You're not going to pass a criminal background check. But I took speech class, and I'm writing a book. I know I say this, it's sort of funny, but I've been out 7 years now. Last year, I finally passed a criminal background check. I'm making good money. You know how I pass a criminal background check? They need a criminal to work at the penitentiary.
So
Tell
you,
these stories.
you choose to work here.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
There's
it's
something that
counseling.
you-
It's like counseling.
It's
I
for
knew
your
I would
life.
be here.
So you have a life sentence. How do you get out of prison?
Well, you get on parole. You know, parole is where that after so many years they give you parole and they put you under certain conditions. Now, next year I'm going to ask for clemency. So I'm going to try to get off parole.
You need to go to see an officer every.
Yeah, I've got to go to parole officer. Right now they've got me on minimum. I'm every year.
So
It
one,
used to be once a month. Now it's every year I have to go see the parole officer.
Okay. Do you regret the crime that you made?
I regret them, but I regret that I was raised up in a family that I didn't have much choice. But once I made that choice, at that time, I didn't have a choice. But after 15 to 20 years, you realize what happened to you. You had to quit blaming somebody at that time. Like it took me 24 years before one day I realized this lady said something to me that works here. She said, you know what? She said, I know your story. When are you going to quit blaming your dad? When are you going to quit blaming the police? When are you going to blaming the judge?
Because you wasn't a kid anymore.
No. She said, look, you have a college degree. You're a grown man. Now it's up to you today to realize that you're the only one can make your future better. So I laid down that night, thought about that. She's right. If you keep blaming somebody else for everything happening to you, you have a chance. I'm here. I'm working, and it's going to keep me out of prison. I could never see me stealing. I could never do that. That is not me. It's not me.
I really hope that you can end up writing your book, and I can't wait until you
I do.
put it to the public.
I'm halfway through, but I'm making it one day at a time.
There is one very valuable thing I have learned throughout this amazing experience. I know that it's easier said it than done, especially if the environment in which you grew up leads you to make the worst mistake of your life. Wayne has learned it in the most difficult way possible, that actions do have consequences. Today, he wants to use his life experiences to inspire others to stay on the right path. Wayne Davidson was able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.